Okay, hello everyone. Today we will be doing the Math Kangaroo 2021. So let's begin. The first one is just a very simple reading the graph. The answer is E, because you're gonna notice that it's going down, up, stay, up, down, and down. Okay. So the third one and the fourth point should be at the same level, and we know A is incorrect, and then we know that this is going down and even down. This one is going up again, so this is not right. And yeah, and this one is not correct. This is the second one and the third one. It should be the third one and the fourth one equal. So this one is out. So between those two, we're gonna find that this one have a difference of -6 and this one has a difference of -2. So this one should be declining faster. So it's E. And question 2, first we reduce the problem to this, and we take the decimal and we take the floor of this one and we minus the floor of this one, and we get 9. And question 3, there's a cube with edge 1 into 2 different identical cube walls, and what is the surface area of one of those cube walls? So this 4 different faces in which it's getting halved, so 1 times 1/2, and there's 2 faces that remains the same, which means there's a total of surface area of 4. And question 4, so for each square and the rectangle, no, the square and the circle, they're gonna have the same ratio of pi/4. So the answer is E. And this one, you remember that the square root, you just multiply them here. You are not going to add them or whatever. And it's going to be 2 to the power of 30. Very easy. And question 6. So we get a rectangle and we're gonna curl them into cylinders. And yeah, just be careful which one is long, which one is short. And this thing here, x and a y correspondingly is going to be the circumference. We divide that by 2 pi and we get the radius, and we square and pi, that's going to be the area. And then this is x and y here, they are the height. So that gives the volume, and that ratio is x over y. Question 7, so which one of them is largest? So for any number that's between 1 and 0, we want as less as power as possible. So 1/4, that's the smallest power, so we pick this one. Answer is E. In question 8, so a given whole number consists of 3 non-zero digits. We subtract it from the number formed from the same digit but put in reverse order. We get a positive difference. It has 6 as its unit digit. What is the difference? So we're gonna represent D1, D2, D3. This is going to be the original integer, and that's going to be the corresponding digit, and you subtract this. And we take the remainder of 6 and we get 6. And we're gonna cancel out. This thing is a multiple of 100, so obviously it's a multiple of 10. We don't consider that. So this thing is going to be 6. And we know that that's a positive difference, right? So obviously we're gonna take a look at like the biggest deciding factors. So D3 minus D1 is going to be a positive, which means the remainder here, this one is going to be -4. So -4 plugging here and we plug in 4 here and we calculate it, we get 396. Question 9, so which one of so what is the area of the triangle whose vertices are at PQ, 3PQ and 2P3Q? So This is how it looks like. So the base is going to be 2p and the height is going to be 2q, and we take 1/2, which means the answer is C. Question 10. So this one is kind of tricky. So using our common sense here, we are trying to pick a slope that's lower, because if the slope of this straight line is going to be too big, then there's no intersection point with here. Yeah, so you're gonna write it in this kind of form, and x, there's two solutions, negative p and negative q here, and so this thing here, so this thing here, okay, we derive it, and that's going to be the x-intercept, and we sub in the value of c and b in terms of a, p, q, and we cancel out the a, we get this. Well, compare this with, and we're gonna square both sides here. It doesn't matter that you pick p or q here without the loss of generality, I guess. Sorry. So you square both sides and you cancel out the p square. So q square over this thing here. We know p and q, they are both positive integers. Therefore, this bottom here is obviously going to be larger, and this thing overall is going to be less than 1. So you're gonna know that if you pick this one here, this one here, they are never going to be intercepting here at this point. So we can only pick this one, okay? Question 11, what fraction of all these are odd divisors? So odd divisors, we are just not picking a factor of 2, right? And the number of divisors formed by this part is 3 times 2 times 2, and the overall, the total is 5 times 3 times 2 times 2, okay? And that's going to be 1 over 5. Question 12. So this one. So we know that the circumference the circumference decreases as the radius becomes lower. So in the end, the circumference is going to be decreasing very fast. Therefore, the radius is going to be decreasing very fast. And the thickness is going to be the radius, okay? But the puppy is still like running at the same rate. Therefore, it should be E. The slope at the beginning is very, very flat, and then it's going down very quickly. Question 13. How many 3-digit natural numbers have the property that when their digits are written in reverse order, the result is a 3-digit number, which is 99 more than the original number? So the same technique here, and we subtract those, and we got 99 here. And just be a little careful here, because the first digit, it could not be a 0. And we know that the reversing digit D3 is going to be greater than D1. This is the range for D1, and plus 1, you're gonna be greater than 1 here. And D3 as a digit cannot be greater than 9, so that's going to be the range of D3. And there's a total of 9 minus 1 option for D3, and D2 doesn't matter here. So, and D2 could be any integer, so times 10, we got 80. Question 14, so this is the optimal way to construct it, I believe. So we're gonna only have one sum that's even. I think that's a pretty good combination. And there are no total of 99. Okay, it's a total of 998 sums, and we subtract the one that's even, so this gives us 997 sums, okay? Question 15, so we just add all of the outer triangles and we subtract the inner ones, and we got 34. Question 16. So we get this. So this is basically two sums that multiply together, okay? And the answer is A. Question 17. So first we're gonna focus on those two rows. And we're gonna get the C and the B. They are off by 2 here. That's very important later. And then we're gonna we're gonna focus on those two rows. And we know the difference of those two, and we're gonna obtain the value of the question mark equals to 10. And question 18 is a very simple question. Those three have the same area, and we just need to equate those two, and we're gonna find the value of x. And we use the total and subtract those three triangles, and we get this to be our answer. Question 19. So this one is kind of tricky. So union is basically we have those two ranges, right? And we just going to combine those together. But we cannot represent it as one whole range because there's some gaps inside. And yeah, so this 1/2, this we update those two ranges here, and 3 to 4, and we update those two ranges to these, and combine those. We're gonna find this to be our final range, because we can never actually build the number 3 and 5 exactly, because this is a circle bracket and it's not a square bracket, okay? So question 20. This thing here, we can just build a xy coordinate based on S, and PQ are have those x and the y coordinate, and we notice that UWXY is a square, and it has this specific property, and we sub it into our PT lines because those 3 points are on the same line, and we get a value of A. And we build this very beautiful trapezoid, and we subtract those two triangles, we get 16. 21, so we just reverse correct and not into this version of problem. So exactly one of those statements are wrong, and obviously this one is wrong because those two, they cannot exist to be correct together because there's only one pet, one house. And those two, they cannot exist together because there's only one rabbit. So this one, obviously, man, you have to go. This one is wrong. So the rest of them is going to be the correct orientation of which pet belongs to which household. And 22, so we derive this. We know that 1 plus of x equals to 2 times f of x. And there's a total of 2020 turns, and we times that with times 2, and that's going to be the sum. Ha 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 ha. And question 23. So we got one player has a sum, and the other is like 2 times. So the sum of those players they erase is a multiple of 3s, and this implies us to find the remainder of 3 of those numbers. And it must be either 9 or 15 to be the number that's being left, because if we erase other numbers, like the other numbers which should be erased cannot have a sum that is a multiple of 3. That's the problem. So it must be either 9 or 15 to be left. So what's the problem with 15 left is that the total sum of the number being erased is 48, and we divide that by 3, which means 16. However, we cannot constructing 16 using any of those numbers. Cannot any of those 3 numbers because each player they are taking turns, and 6 numbers are gone, which means they both erase 3 numbers, and we cannot construct 3 with 16, so that's not an option. So which means 9 is going to be the number that's left. And question 24. So first we're gonna tackle the outer f, okay? And f of x, some value of x equals to 0. So based on the graph, negative 4, negative 2, 2 and 4, they are making f of x equal to 0. That means like the inner f of x must be equal to those values, and there's a total of 8 values that equals to 8 values of x that make f of x equal those values. So we pick E. And 25 is kind of interesting because so how we gonna imagine this is okay, let me actually just tell you the answer first. So those 2 kangaroos, they are connected together, and those 3 they are connected together. So imagine the sum of the 2 kangaroos that's inside, they got the correct children, and which means those 3 are like they are wrong. And we observe that every kangaroo here, they are having different children, which means those 2 that originally got the correct children, they got different children. That means that they are now not having the correct children, which means those 2 are incorrect. Then there are 3 kangaroos get the correct children here. That means those 3, they are the correct kangaroo that get the correct children. Yeah, like each group, they must be switching the child, because imagine this, like the children D, they are like running into this group here. And that means that and we know that those 3 kangaroos, they got the correct children. And this thing here, kangaroo mother A got the correct children, and the small kangaroo D runs to here. That means he is again getting the correct mother, which is impossible. There's only one mother pairing with one kid, so it cannot be running into the other group, the original correct kangaroo. It must be switching with another kangaroo, which we can see that B and D, they're switching the mothers. That's how we deduce that A, C, they are originally correct, and those 3 are now correct, which means the child A belongs to mother D. We picked the option D here, and I hope you understand how it works. And question 26. So we're gonna count there's 12 faces, and 12, each face have 5 triangles, and we know that for a triangle, it is overlapped by 3 different faces, and we divide by 3. Similarly, for rectangle, we just divide by 2, and that's how we get the total number of the shapes. And we just multiply that by values, and we get a sum to be 50. Question 27. So we are just finding 3 variables, A, B, C equals to 15, and that's and we are constructing in an increasing order. So A equals to 1, there's 7 ways for BC, and yeah, there's a total of 19 ways. And question 28. So So first, here we construct the parallel line here, and the ratio of this part and this part is 1 over 1, 2, 3 because they have the same height, just different bases, and based on the ratio of the size here, the base must have a ratio of 1, 2, 3. So which means this triangle and this triangle here, they're gonna have the same ratio as this line segment. So 1 over 3. We know this part is 3 already, so the whole thing is 9, so this part is 6. And also we know that this part is 6 already, and we find this one is 6. So which means this line segment to this line segment is a 1 to 1. Which means this triangle here has the same area of this triangle, and the total of here should be equal to this, so this is 6, and we subtract this 1 here, so this is going to be 5. So the total area of this triangle equals to 12. We add those small parts together. Question 29. We are doing physics now. Suppose this is x. Based on this is a straight angle, this is going to be 90 divided by x. And we know that the angle of reflection equals to the angle of inflection. Those two angles, they are equal. And we know that this outer angle equals to the sum of this angle and this angle. And by using the equation, this is going to be the value. And we just applying this trick multiple times. Those two are equal. And using the outer angle sum, those two equals to this. And we get this angle. And this is parallel with this, which means x equals to this angle here. X equals to, this is equals to x, they are equal. The point of inflection equals to the angle of reflection, those are equal. And this is the final equation, x equals to 22.5. Now we can start working on the problem with the angle. This is 5, and this angle, this side is going to be tangent 22.5 times 5. And those two similar triangle has a ratio of cotangent 25 here. Because this is a right angle and this is cotangent 25. Tangent 25 and cotangent 25, they are canceling out with each other because they are inverse function, and we times 5 at the end. We get this distance as actually the same as this, equals to 5. Question 30. This is like a state problem. We need to study each state. So define Pi equals to the chance of winning, where I is the number that I'm ahead of. We know that if I am not ahead, that both players have an equal chance. The probability is equal to 1/2. If I'm 3 steps ahead, I'm just winning. So the chance of P1 winning is going to be 1/2 P0 and 1/2 P2. Just imagine this way, okay? This 1/2 of chance I goes to the state P0, and a 1/2 of chance that I goes to P2, and the chance of winning is 1/2 the chance of winning of this, and a 1/2 the chance of winning forward, and yes. And similarly, we can write the expression for P2, and we want to find the P1 here, and we substitute the P2 over here into this. and we get this, and we combine those P1 together, and we get P0 and P3, and we know the value of P0 and P3, and we sub in, and we find the value of P1. And that's the video for today. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.